What is up, everybody? My name is Clint, and on this episode of Dropping Hammers, we're going to talk about roosted turkeys, and if you should hunt the roost, and how close you should hunt, and all the things, the do's and don'ts of if you are going to do it. And me personally, I don't do a lot of roost hunting. I like to work from the outside in, and the reason being is if you're pretty close to that tree, and that turkey, he flies off this way or he flies off whatever way, then you're sort of backtracking, and then you have to do these hooks and try to set up on the bird if he doesn't do what you want him to do. And in my experience, most of the time these birds don't do what you want them to do on the roost. But if you are somebody that really wants to do it, I will give you some tips. Number one thing is you do not want that turkey to be able to see you. In the early season and in April and even in early May, there's not a lot of foliage, and these things can see hundreds of yards. And when you wake up in the same tree every morning or in the same areas and you're looking out around these trees, you know what these trees look like. And we have pretty good camo, but you know, one little movement, one thing doesn't look right, a little bit of your face is showing, your hands are showing, anything like that, and that turkey sees you, the gig is up. You're done right there. So you really want to make sure. I like to play that 70 yards to 100 yards. I'm okay with being a little ways away, and we're going to talk about that some more in a minute. So that's one of the main things. You just don't want to be seen. In my experience is usually these turkeys don't do what I want them to do right off the roost. But we're just going to get into the situation of if you are going to do it. Number one, you really want to make sure your camo is perfect, and you want to make sure you have a face mask and you're not going to have much showing, and do all of that, okay? And then, like I said, about 70 yards. These turkeys fly about 20 to 30 yards from the roost. A lot of times they can fly even further. I mean, I've seen them clear on field edges. I've seen them fly 70 yards. I mean, they can really go a ways. So you don't really want to be that close. Now, calling, I know a lot of people get up underneath these turkeys, and you know, when I say up underneath, I mean 50 yards and closer, and they get on the mouth call and they start ripping on that mouth call. You do not want these big raspy yelps. That's what a lot of people teach in turkey hunting. That is not what you want. In my experiences in the woods, I see hens do that one time, and for one reason most of the time. Either they are trying to locate a turkey and tell that turkey, come back to the herd, or they are yelping that loud to locate a gobbler that they know, and they are telling that gobbler, I'm coming to you. And I've seen those hens travel, I mean, just rip and rip and rip across the woods to get to those other gobblers. And so when you are doing that, you're telling that turkey that you're coming to him. And a lot of times what this is going to do is it's going to get that bird stuck in that tree up till 9 or 10 o'clock. And even further, I've heard. It's happened to me personally. That's another reason why I'm not real big on calling to these things on the roost. And I can tell you, when they're on the roost and they're on the ground, they act totally different. And I'm going to get into that some more here in a minute. But say, if you really do want to call to them, you want to go with soft calling. Now we're going to get into exactly what that soft calling is and really what you want to stick with. So you see how most of that is not real loud. It's soft pitch, and turkeys are going to be able to hear that 50 to 70 yards away. And these are the sounds that comfort them and make them feel comfortable. And that's what you want. Those loud, raspy chalking, chalk, 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 chalk. You don't want to do that when you're hunting a roosted turkey. When they're on the limb, these are the same sounds they're making. They're just that's all they're doing. So you want to do the same thing. You might do like a fly down cackle where you take your wing and you just slap it back on your leg, and most of you know exactly what a fly down cackle sounds like. It's just like a bunch of cackles in a row. This is the wrong mouth call to be doing that on, so I'm not going to do it. You can do that with a box call too. Okay, so that's the kind of sounds that you want to make when you are calling to that turkey. Now if you're lucky enough you can see that turkey in the tree, you really want to pay attention to what he's doing. And when he's turning on the limb, you can tell when they get ready to pitch down, they start doing this number. They're bobbing a little bit like that, and they're getting their footing. And you want to make sure that turkey's facing you when he's getting ready to do that. So if he is starting that movement where it looks like he's going to fly down, he's not facing you, get a little more aggressive, call a little bit more to him. And that is just how you're going to try to get that turkey to fly down towards you. Now with the ranges guns nowadays being 50, 55 plus yards, I mean, like I was saying before, 70 yards, 75, even a little bit further back is fine, because when that turkey flies down 20 to 30 yards, he's probably in range already. Me personally, I like a 30 to 35 range right in there. You get real close, it's too tight, and if you get a little further, there's more room for air. But now we're going to talk a little bit more as to why I prefer not to call to the turkey when it's on the roost. When the turkey's on the roost, this is what I do. First of all, I want to try to have some sort of idea of what the turkey is going to do. Like, I want to have some prior knowledge. Do I think he's going to fly over here? Do I think he's going to fly over there? I already want to be in that direction, okay? That's the direction that I want to be set up in. It's the direction I think he's going to go. Now, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to let that turkey do his thing, and I'm going to let him fly down. Now, from that point, I'm just going to kind of wait. If he's already gobbling, already doing this thing, I'm just going to kind of listen to him for a minute, try to get a sense of direction that he's coming. Now, the thing that you really want in turkey hunting is you want that bird coming to you. So if he's already doing that, let him do his thing. You don't really need to do anything. Let that turkey come right towards you. Now, when he hits the ground, those things act totally different than they do when they're in the tree. When they're in the tree, they seem to be really paranoid. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. I got to be honest, I don't know what it is, but that turkey in the tree and that turkey on the ground, they just act totally different. If you call to that turkey in the tree, he flies down in the wrong direction, your chances of calling in that turkey from that point go downhill very quick. I've never sat in the same spot that I was sitting when they were in the tree, had them fly down in the wrong direction, and then called them my way. Usually if they don't fly down your way, it's not going to happen. So this goes back to what I like to do, and that's let them hit the ground and then start working them. Okay, so I always want to have some knowledge of what those turkeys are doing in a couple days before I hunt them, or even just one day. Maybe I hear them gobble in a certain area, and then I want to be in between where they were the day before and that roost. That's where I want to set up. If I'm seeing them hanging out in the field, then I want to be in between the roost and that field. And I'll tell you, if you are already somewhere that these turkeys want to go, your chances just skyrocketed of shooting that bird. I promise you. Now, if I'm 100 yards and less from that turkey, he hits the ground and I'm 100 yards and less, I'm sticking to soft calling. And you almost barely want them to hear you. And the reason why is because that does something with their head where they're like, oh, she might be walking away. And it makes them kind of have some incentive to come towards you. And that's the same calling I was doing earlier. Now I can turn the volume up on that a little bit if I need to, and I can reach out to about 120 yards. You hear those yelps, how they don't have that real loud, raspy nastiness to them. Like I said, most of the time that I hear that, it's when a hen is locating a gobbler and going to him. That's not really the message that I'm wanting to send. I'm wanting to let him know where I'm at and talk a little bit, and at some point I want him to realize I'm not coming to him and he needs to come to me. So soft calling is going to help you do that. Now if you get past 120 yards, you need to reach out there a little bit further. That's where them loud, raspy yelps come with a mouth call. That takes time to learn, and if it's not something you know, you can use a slate call. Now these things, they will reach out there, buddy. They do a lot of the work for you. That you could easily hear 120 plus yards away. Now if you really start ripping on that sucker, you can get it out there far. So you get the point. That's what I'm going to do if the turkey is past 120 yards. Now, general rule of thumb for me is when I'm working that bird, if he starts seeming like he's going to go the other way, he's not kind of going my way, I'm going to call a little bit more. I'm going to get a little more aggressive. And for me, that stuff works. So now you have a good idea of what to do with the turkey on the roost. And you can make the decision of if you want to call to them yourself, or when they're on the roost or not. I talk to people all the time that call to them on the roost, and it just doesn't seem to work out for them. The one thing that doesn't lie is a turkey over your shoulder, and for me, that's letting them hit the ground and letting those turkeys come to me. It's always worked way better that way, and I can tell you, it's not going to hurt you in any way to let the bird hit the ground before you start calling to him. It doesn't hurt you in any way. And like I was saying before, a lot can go wrong when that turkey is up in the tree. And another thing that I noticed is when I'm messing with turkeys on the roost, and this is a real important one, is I've noticed when things go wrong, maybe your calling don't sound right, and he picks up on that. Maybe he sees you. If anything like that goes wrong on the roost, I've noticed when they fly down, that turkey doesn't roost there anymore, and he doesn't come back. So it can turn into a good way to kick turkeys off your property, and that for me is the number one reason why I don't call to them. And then the other sub ones that I have listed here. So I think I covered most of what I wanted to when it comes to this subject. Turkey season is opened in a lot of places. Me personally, I'm waiting for Tennessee to open here, I believe on the 12th, and then I will be in the game. And a lot of these states are going to be opening up here quick. And then if you're one of them later states, like New York, that opens up in May, well, you got a little longer to wait. But if you keep this video in mind and you listen to some of these tips and pointers, I'm sure it'll help you bag a big old turkey this year. But good luck, everybody. I hope you have a good, successful season, and I will catch you later.